those that actually did manage to make their deposits in the 2018-2019 farming season?
So for the 2018-2019 farming season, research has showed so far that this e-voucher program has actually performed exceptionally well in terms of the targeted beneficiaries and those that actually managed to make their deposits. So out of the million targeted beneficiaries, about 998,000 farmers, which is significant in terms of the representation. That's about 98% of the actual targeted farmers actually achieved and managed to deposit their parts of the input supply program.
Wow, 98%, yes. That's quite a good representation, right? Okay, so were there any, successes, notable ones of the DIS? And, apart from the good representation, 98%, which is quite a good, sign of, this, service or, performing quite well.
Yes.
Any other notable successes apart from what we just talked about?
Yes, I think one of the notable successes, which is, I think, paramount, is the effective performance of the ZIAMIS, which is the information system which has been used for the distribution of farming input support program. And we noticed that last year there were interruptions and various challenges in terms of the system, but it was reported that during the 2018-2019 season, there were no interruptions that were reported. And nearly all the farmers indicated that they had their authority to collect forms and they managed to redeem their inputs, except for a few that may have been system challenges or data input challenges that were and are being looked into at the moment.
Okay, you did touch a bit on the challenges. What are they like? Are there any that you can actually pinpoint and say these were the challenges that were, that came along with, the FISP?
So some of the challenges in our interactions with especially the farmers is that it was noted that despite Ministry of Agriculture recruiting a number of extension officers in September last year, there's still a need for capacity in terms of monitoring the standards of seeds that are distributed by the distributors and the various players in the distribution of the farming input support program. And also the other issue that we noted in terms of the suppliers were the delays in payments, and also in terms of those farmers that were on the direct input support program, also noted that they were not given leverage to select whatever inputs they wanted, as opposed to those that were receiving their inputs on the e-voucher system. So this is one of the challenges, especially in light of the focus and the need to diversify some of the agricultural products that and from maize into, for example, drought-resistant products and livestock development products and the like.
Okay, we're still talking to Ms. Cheleshe Chaunga, a senior researcher from Policy Monitoring and Research Center on the Pmrc corner on ZNBC Radio 4. I'm still your host. My name is Kachana. Now, what are some of the views? I believe there are other stakeholders. There are still other stakeholders that are involved apart from yourselves in this, What are some of the views, from other stakeholders in the implementation of both e-voucher as well as DIS?
I think in view of some of the challenges that I have highlighted, we as Pmrc have been involved in various events on which we have been reviewing the performance of the implementation of the e-voucher system. And I think the general consensus around the performance of the system is that it is a great system and all stakeholders need to continuously give feedback to government in order for government to actually just tighten up the loose ends and ensure for adaptive management in the way this program is implemented. And from the farmers' perspective, there's also a need for continuous sensitization also on the program and also all aspects of the program.
Thank you so much. As we get to wrap up our program, are there any key recommendations from your assessments and interactions that you made as Pmrc?
So there are a few recommendations that we have put forward, and also other recommendations that we are still trying to advocate for. And I think to start with, the key recommendation that we have is that there's need to re-strategize the funding modalities to reduce on the delays in payments and ensure that payments are made on time so that we have timely delivery of inputs in all aspects, and there's more reliability and prompt response in terms of agro-dealer payments and also contributions as well. And then we would also like to recommend as Pmrc that there's need to formulate an exit strategy in terms of the farmers that are currently receiving these inputs. We know that the farmers are selected as a way of empowering them. Most of them are vulnerable yet viable, but there's also need to ensure that others also benefit from this program. So whether it be rotational or a graduation kind of way, there's a need for an exit strategy to be formulated. And then we also like to recommend that there should be also prioritization in terms of other supporting mechanisms and other supporting systems. For example, we are aware that the government is doing all that it can to ensure that the road networks are worked on, and so many roads are being worked on. But there's also need to focus on feeder roads and transport modalities that can help with transportation, just to ensure that transport network systems and farmers are able to move, and also suppliers are able to move their resources at a timely manner. Also, in terms of the communications towers which are being built, there's also need to hasten this in terms of the building of these towers. This would be great in view of the distribution of inputs, and hopefully this can enable government to move back to the 100% e-voucher implementations, as opposed to the 60%, 40% approach that has been taken in the 2018-2019 farming season. And I think lastly, we would also like to just ensure and encourage government to continue with the review of the districts and continue with the monitoring of the implementation. And would also like to urge all other stakeholders to continuously give feedback and also continue engaging with government to ensure that this program is further refined, and also that it becomes more efficient and effective for the development of the agriculture sector as a whole.
Thank you so much. Should we take that as a summary statement? As we now finally get to close.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think in summary, I think there's also need for continuous sensitization also in terms of the farmers, just letting them know. I attended a meeting once where, for example, one farmer was saying they were not giving them change when they received their inputs. So you can see that there's need for continuous sensitization, as in farmers need to know what they are entitled to, what the restrictions are, what the terms and conditions of these input support program benefits are as well. And everyone should play a part in this.
All right.
Yes.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Unless otherwise there's any other additional information you'd want our listeners to go away with?
I think additionally, I would just like to urge anyone who is interested in anything that is PMRC related, which is booklets, infographics, and policy analysis, that they can visit our website, which is www.pmrczambia.com. And they can also go to any of our social media platforms, which is Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and follow us. And also, they can also come to our offices in case they need any other additional information. And our offices are at number 36C, Sabo Road in Kablonga, here in Lusaka.
All right. This has been today's Pmrc Corner. Policy and Monetary Researcher, Senior Researcher, has been with us in studio, Ms. Cheleshe Chaunga. We've been looking at the implementation review discussion of the Fisp and direct input supply DIS during the 2018-2019 farming season. I have been your host. My name is Kachana Sinyani. Thank you so much, Chile, for coming.
Thank you so much for having us.
You are welcome. Our listeners, till we meet again next week on Thursday at the same time on the same channel. For now, it's goodbye. Keep listening to your public service broadcaster.